Hi everyone, thanks for hanging out. It's Kiki, and today I actually wanted to record a different type of video. Today's going to be a little bit different. Usually I talk about long COVID symptoms and how I'm doing, but instead I am going to be covering how you can step into your personal power, and I'll add some uh, questions that I use for my reflection sprinkled throughout the video. And it'll be things like what you can do to establish control in your life, how you can figure out what's going on, and how you can enact change. And I feel like this is such a life changer. Before we even do the questions, let's take a moment to check in with ourselves. How are you breathing? How's your posture? What are you sitting on? How does it feel? If you really want, get a notebook, pen and paper to write your thoughts down. Maybe light a candle or get a tea. I love chamomile. Whatever you'd like for this reflection time. You can also pause the video at any time to reflect or write anything down if you like. Okay, let's start with some questions here. So, what is your relationship with power? And whatever comes to mind, whatever your intuition tells you, write that down. Okay, and when I mean power, I'm talking about personal power, the kind that helps you live your best life, but in the way that you want to live it. Let's do a quick assessment. For example, think about, how do you respond to challenges at work? How do you respond to challenging relationships? Or how do you respond to problems in your life in general? Do you take charge or do you shy away? Write it down. Let's take a look at where you might be using your power unconsciously. Are there places where you maybe misuse it negatively? Maybe you're somebody who finds themselves getting frustrated easily, snapping at others when things don't go your way, or perhaps you've noticed that you avoid making decisions because you're scared of the consequences or making the wrong choices. That's definitely me. These are both examples of how we can misuse or deny our personal power. I feel like we've all got that weird power imbalance somewhere in our lives, and there's nothing wrong with it. We just need to address it. So let's just do it together. Oh, and I forgot. Make sure to write all of these reflections as you go because it can help you make changes later. So here are some things to think about. Where are you denying yourself? Are you hiding your light? Are you holding back your gifts, your love, your true desires? Maybe you've always wanted to pursue a creative passion like painting or sewing, but you tell yourself you're not good enough, so you never try. Or maybe you're someone who dreams of speaking up in meetings, but you hold back your opinion because you fear being judged. But let's be real, closing ourselves off from what we truly want is keeping us stuck. Now that we've highlighted these things, it's time to break free from these things. So let's talk about these blocks. What's holding you back from doing the things you want to do? Is it limiting beliefs? Maybe you grew up believing that success is only for other people and not you. Maybe your family's experiences have taught you that money is always a struggle, like you were in poverty like I was, or you've subconsciously accepted other things as your truth. When we're born, we don't really have a lot of beliefs. We are just neutral, and we accept and absorb these truths from other people as our own. Maybe you were also taught you were never good enough. Think back when you were a kid. Was there something that you wanted to do? Were you told that was a waste of time? These are examples of intergenerational trauma and belief systems that can continuously keep us stuck. But guess what? We can let them go. And speaking of limiting beliefs, what other stories are you telling yourself? Like, what consequences are you imagining that are keeping you from living your best life? Maybe you believe that if you take time for yourself, you're being selfish, so you never prioritize self-care. That's one of mine. Or maybe you've convinced yourself that you'll never find true love, so you settle for relationships that don't fulfill you. You just settle for, like, just, there's this saying that says, you were so hungry for love that you settled for crumbs. That's what I did. It's time to rewrite those stories, okay? This is not how it needs to be. Rewrite all the stories that you were just telling yourself, that you just discovered, and limiting beliefs, write those down. And the next exercise you can do with that is you take those stories, those beliefs, rewrite it on the other page, or like even in another book if you want, or type it out, but tell yourself new stories. Like, try to change it and try to give yourself new beliefs. Try to flip the perspective so that way it benefits you. For example, I thought that I was annoying and that I was, I never fit in. But then I just realized the reason I don't fit in, that's okay, is because I am not neurotypical. So once I found out that there was a difference between neurotypical and neurodivergent, I was like, that's okay if I don't fit in the neurotypical sphere. I'll just go into the neurodivergent sphere where I do fit in. And of course, I try to be considerate and improve myself and not just always rely on going, oh, I'm neurodivergent, so therefore this is the way I am. No, I don't do that. I try to self improve, but the neurodivergent sphere, I find they understand me a little bit better. So, for example, if I'm late, it's not a big problem. But for neurotypical, they think it's like very rude. But what I do is I do try to be on time and I make a big concerted effort to be early. And now I'm so early, I'm too early, but whatever. Anyway, so that's how I found out that the story I was telling myself wasn't true. So let's continue. Maybe are there things burdening you? Say, for example, is there like some type of suffering in your life or your family has suffered? It could be something as tangible as addiction. Here's an example: alcoholism running in the family. That is a story people tell themselves. So they go, alcoholism runs in the family. This is just the way it is. They're going to stay that way. But in reality, it is an addiction, but you can solve it many ways. Usually it's through therapy because alcohol is because you're running away from something, or maybe there is something in their physical chemistry, like say for example in their brain, and the alcohol balances out the neurotransmitters. There are medical modalities that are much healthier than drinking a big bottle of alcohol. So there's that. Or could it be like an emotional burden that you're carrying, like the weight of past family conflicts that were never resolved? I had that. It's really good to identify these areas, because the more you shine light on these things that bring you shame or guilt, the light actually heals it. And when you talk about it, you tend to find more solutions to it as well, because sometimes other people have suggestions or they've gone through it too and they know the path forward, or even just sharing it makes you understand that other people experience this as well, and it's not so isolating when you realize this is just part of the human condition and that we can get through this. At the end of the day, just know, do not have to live the life that you have now. You can change your stories and beliefs, which change your perspective, which change then your actions, and then therefore your life. We just did a quick survey of the things that were like burdens or stories that we tell ourselves or beliefs. And I'm sure there's things in there that no longer are serving you, right? Take a moment to reflect, write down the things that no longer are serving you. Now that we know what no longer serves us, let's think. How can we change these components so we can align ourselves with our most highest self and our desires? That's the question I like to use so I can go from A to B. Maybe it's time to rethink your belief, or maybe it's time to revisit a dream that you put on hold because you didn't think it was possible in the past. Why not now? Why not try it? Even just for fun. It doesn't have to be good. That's the thing. What shifts can you create today in your life for you, for your higher, to get to your highest self, to get to the life that you desire? You can write down, this is what I do. I always write down the shifts that I want to make, like the before and after, and I'll pick the one that stands out the most, the one that would give me the most benefit, and then I would write mini steps that I can do every single day to get me to where I want to go. And that I found that's helped for me a lot. And it was a little bit exhaustive because I feel like this pushed me to change. And when you are changing as a person, it's never easy, but it's definitely worth it. And it's easier to stay consistent if this is a goal that you really want to do and you know the why, and you really will be happy with the results. Think to yourself, how can I evolve? What lessons am I learning from all of this? And just after you're doing all that reflection and making your plan, lean into it and stay consistent. You can fall off, that is okay. Just pick up again. That's what I always tell myself, and just continue. I had a professor in school. She told me, Kat, I was Kat at the time, that just keep going. If you can keep going further, keep going. And success is when you get to your goal, and failure is when you stop. So just don't stop. Just keep going until you get to your goal. And it has been working for a lot of the things that I'm doing. If you've been thinking about all the questions I have been talking about, there is a big theme in all of it, and it's pretty much shadow work. I wrote down here, shadow work is the deep transformative work that helps us evolve into the best versions of ourselves. Shadow work might look like facing the parts of yourself that you're not proud of, like jealousy, insecurity, or anger, and working through them. It's all about burning off what no longer serves us so we can embody more light and love. I guess a bonus tip, use triggers as well. Trigger is when an emotional response that you have doesn't match the situation, just in general. Say if you're in traffic and somebody's really super angry, they're being triggered. But why are they so angry? That doesn't match the situation. There's a clue there. It's like, why do you need to be so angry about this? Or another trigger would be if a small comment from a friend makes you disproportionately upset. It could be a trigger from an old wound from a past experience. Or, I mean, maybe they could just be mean, but still, think about how you react to things. And if that reaction is not how you want to be, you can change that reaction by thinking, oh, why was I so triggered about that event? And then figure out the root and then go, oh, I was triggered because of that root. And then I'm going to work on that. We have a choice to hold on to things that are weighing our soul down. We all go through traumatic things. I have, and other people have gone through more traumatic things, and some people go through less traumatic things. It's not like it's not the trauma Olympics. Some people are more resilient than others, but we do have the choice as to whether or not we should hold on to these things. We can release them through processing, through acknowledgement, through reflection. And then once they're released, we literally step into a lighter version of ourselves that doesn't self sabotage as much, a lighter version of ourselves that is wanting to do all of these little micro changes that you set up through changing your beliefs to get to your higher self. Like, it's just easier. So you don't have to hold on to these. Make a conscious effort to release them. Maybe you're feeling guilty. Do you ever have that? I get that sometimes when, like, I think about, oh, why did I say that? Like, I overthink about it. Don't hold on to that. Don't hold on to that. Don't hold on to any guilt. Don't hold on to any resentment to anyone who has wronged you. They can make us feel heavy and it's just a waste of energy. Just let them go. I hope you enjoyed this video. That's it for today. Thank you for joining me on this journey of self-discovery and empowerment. And I'll see you next time. Bye.